All right, everyone, we got to start off the day by talking about the fake news legacy media gangs. The Guardian put out a tweet some hours ago. While I was still off in slumberland dreaming of a place where there's no censorship on big tech firms, the corporate media has begun to whine about if you're conducting journalism these days, you might get doxxed and there's like threats and harassment and physical assault and stuff. It's like, yeah, like when you go over to war zone and get shot or something, like you've been doing for 100 years. So in other words, you're complaining about the harassment campaigns that you yourself launch on other people by constantly defaming them. It's like, we'll take, for example, that one case from a couple years ago. Where CNN did an expose on a kid for making, like, I guess an anti-Semitic GIF image or a meme or something. And they, like, exposed all his personal details. And, like, they were literally insinuating within the context of the article that they're, he's sort of apologetic, but he's a scumbag and fuck him, basically. So you can dox people. And that's okay because, journalism. But if you, in turn, get treated the same way by people who are your ideological opponents in some manner, it's earth-shattering. It's a terrible problem. It's horrible. Despite the fact that you're corporations. You are just for-profit business entities and or state-run media services. So in other words, arms of government in states like the BBC. It's an arm of the British government. It's basically a literal propaganda outlet. People still think there's independent journalism that happens there. It's beyond me. You think about a CNN or a Fox. They rub our elbows with, they're tied with, give money to, get money from, give and get favorable treatment from political groups. How is that not at least state co-opted to some degree? Yeah, but really fair reporting, guys. It's so dumb. Here's the thing. Like, I've been defamed. I've been defamed by BuzzFeed, I've been defamed by Right Wing Watch, I've been defamed by the Wall Street Journal. Now, Right Wing Watch doesn't actually brand itself fully as a media company or news in general, and calls itself literally what it is, which is a political activist group. Basically a craptivism page that just goes after one part of the political spectrum and then completely gets it wrong. But then that sort of seeps into BuzzFeed, the dedicated left-wing media, which is more partisan. And then Wall Street Journal's like, it's not partisanship, it's just establishment hackery. It's a corporate outlet, multi-million-dollar firm. And I've been defamed by them. And just think, I'm barely getting the point here where I have like 250,000 subscribers on YouTube. Yeah, it's a large audience. There are people who have 10 times that. They get defamed even more. And the thing is, when you're they're using this excuse of, we're trying to report on extremism. The problem isn't reporting on someone who's walking down the street with a baseball bat and a swastika on their forehead. Yeah, okay, if you're reporting on that particular style of political or social ideology, or a bunch of new Black Panthers that are talking about killing white babies, okay, that's extremism. Then you get to the point, though, where you're declaring that like a Lauren Southern, she's an extremist. Mulnu, he's an extremist. He's like a skinhead, basically. Styx Hexenhammer is a far-right extremist. What the fuck are you smoking? You gotta be high in order to believe that these things are actually legitimate. And I'm seeing increasingly a lot of people are just shutting these media groups out. And that's what worries them. That's why they're trying to use the pity me card. They're trying, pity us so much. Our journalist got doxxed. Who fucking cares? That journalist has done much worse, probably. Or is certainly tied to a corporation that's done worse. You get 10 times the salary to do something in a less talented manner than someone who just fucking sits there on YouTube, and you sit there harassing people like me, the creator community, the alt media in general, harassing. Look, PewDiePie gets harassed. He does gaming and memes. He does cringy memes and, stuff like that. He gets called basically a Nazi dog whistler. At that point, it became increasingly obvious that the Wall Street Journal especially was out to lunch when it came to its own sanity. And then you have the gall. After attacking people with millions and millions of fans, which are half of the age of any of the fan bases of these media groups doing the propaganda, when you begin attacking those people, and it's defamatory in nature, it's not just ideologically attacking someone. It's not attacking something that's real. It's fake. It's a lie. It's made up. PewDiePie, the dog whistler, okay, go ahead and attack him because you don't like his memes. Go ahead and say, I just don't like PewDiePie. I don't think he's funny. I think that he's talentless. I think, whatever. But he's not a Nazi. He's not a racist. He's not dog whistling to racists. You just are seeing what you want to see because you want to knock him off, basically deplatform him in order to get more money. You want to stop being at the kids' table when it comes to social media. That's essentially what it boils down to, is pure fiscal, and I'll tell you what it is. These media groups, CNN, Fox, Breitbart, all these groups, ultimately, they're used to being on top. They're used to having, like, we're the big dogs. These YouTubers don't matter, some blogger or something, some indie musician. It's like, fuck them, basically. And if they do gain a large audience, we'll just, we'll give them a corporate deal. In the era, though, of grassroots funding, of Patreon and its various alternatives, crowdsourcing and things of that nature, it's no longer necessary for anybody like me to bother with corporate sponsorships or anything. And we're drowning out their increasingly aged audience with, much younger individuals, which are also much more numerous. I would hazard to guess the average age of a Guardian reader is probably in the 50s or 60s. Probably is. They got a big Twitter handle. It's like fucking, you look at the number of likes they get on a tweet despite having so many fans. It's comparable to people with 1/10 their audience, and it's like, oh, the fan engagement's a little bit low. I wonder why. The thing is, they waited too long to see social media and the internet at large as a place where they could do business and make money and be popular and extend their usefulness. Well, those of us who, to begin with, that's where we made our mark, we don't have that problem. So we're growing much more quickly to much higher levels, much more efficiently, and it's great. We're getting doxxed by extremists. No, you're getting doxxed by people who you're claiming to be extremists who aren't. Therein lies the problem. You're saying the people with beliefs that are anything outside of the neoliberal consensus establishment of Western European thought, you're saying they're all extremists. So in other words, according to you, most of the governments in the world are led by extremists. Most people online are extremists. Hell, even some of your corporate competitors are extremists. That's a really extreme world. No, you know what's extremist? What's extremist is a group like The Guardian or CNN or MSNBC. Let me tell you why. If you look at the alt media, you will generally find, because, we're used to dealing with censorship and bullshit from the establishment, a heavily libertarian vein throughout the whole thing that says, war is a racket, basically. It's bullshit. Censorship is bullshit. People should be left alone. Governments aren't to be trusted. That's not an extremist view. That view's been around for a long time. It's basically called common sense. No, the corporate media pushes off war and censorship and scrambles people's minds and props up warmongering corrupt politicians. That's extremism. It's extremist to suggest that the world needs to be governed by a single body, but some of these people believe that. I don't think you're going to find much of that rhetoric from the alt media, from the creator community. I think you're going to find the exact opposite to be true. We're not the extremists. We're the sane ones. We're the ones who have moderated modes of thought. We don't want people to be suppressed or thrown into the meat grinder of a proxy war somewhere. We call out governments on their bullshit. These cowards don't do that because they get paid by these same fuckers. They get paid by government, so they literally take their marching orders. You look at the email releases during the campaign here, 2016. The Hillary Clinton campaign was openly coordinating with both CNN and MSNBC. Openly coordinating with them, telling them, hey, suppress this story. MSNBC, one of their anchors, like, oh, we're sorry that this story ran. We'll do better next time. It's like, yeah, what a free media. What a fair media. Really hard-hitting journalism there. There are certain modes of muckraking you're not willing to do. But you're willing to defame some YouTuber. Oh, it's really important. And then when their fan base, this happened to me with the idiot who will not be named from Right Wing Watch. He's like, oh, Styx has such a toxic fan base, so, I have to block all these people. It's like, what the fuck do you expect? You're continuously attempting to defame me and people associated with me, including other creators whose audience dwarfs Right Wing Watch and your parent company and all of your Twitter handles, YouTube pages, and independent websites combined. My audience on YouTube alone dwarfs all of the entire nexus of content creation. And so you poke the bear, and then, you wonder why this happens. It's hilarious. At the time, you can even defend these people and say you don't like doxing, and they'll still bitch about you. So it's like, I have no mercy at this point, no sympathy whatsoever. It's like, fuck them. If all you're gonna do is defame other human beings, and you're like getting the Coke money for doing so. You know, some of these people, they get like 7, 8-figure salaries. You look at Bill O'Reilly with his golden parachute fucking release from Fox News. How much money did they pay him in severance? They paid millions on his behalf in settlements alone, then gave him like 10 million extra dollars just to leave. How much did Glenn Beck get when he was running his firm? He got millions of dollars. It's nuts. So you're telling me that a bunch of urbanite penthouse dwellers who get 6, 7, and 8-figure salaries represent like the best interests of the US or the UK or something? No, they don't. They represent an entirely different class of people from those which they're reporting to. They're not news. They're just tabloid sputum at this point. That's about all. Peace out.